I've been thinking about a lot of things recently because I'm just beginning the process of writing a new book, and so during that process I spend an awful lot of time just sitting and thinking and walking. There's a graveyard near here where I live, which is a nice place to just walk. It's very sobering, focuses you. I like it. Hanging out with dead people. And one of the things I've been thinking about a lot is magic. It's not something I've written about, but it's certainly something I've experienced. There was a period in my early 20s where I studied the Western occult tradition in quite a lot of depth and had a whole sequence of extraordinary experiences, which I'm careful with because they can be easily misunderstood, but they're enigmatic, I mean deeply so. And magic is very popular these days, although it's sometimes not called magic, but it is. It's the ancient tradition of magic. It's the idea that with your mind you can affect your life, what happens to you. Now obviously, through philosophy, you can definitely affect what happens to you by changing your attitude, by changing the way you think, you see new things. That I talk about a lot. But there's also this whole, you create your own reality bag, which is massive at the moment. Many people will have seen The Secret, and it's huge. And what I notice about my friends and the people I meet at my events is it tends to polarize people. On the one hand, there's those people who are going, this is great, this is it. I can get the life I want, and that's a very, very attractive proposition. You can see why these books sell an awful lot of copies. You tell people what they want to hear, they're going to buy your book. And then there's the other side who are going, look, this is kind of bullshit. This is superficial. This is wishful thinking. Now, the interesting thing for me is I spend an awful lot of time trying to confront my superstitions and our collective superstitions. A lot of my attack on religion is because it's so damn unquestioning and superstitious. So what about this? I mean, one thing people say to me often is when you dream lucidly, you can affect your dream. Is it the same when you live lucidly? Can you affect your dream? And this is kind of interesting because it brings out the differences between lucid dreaming and lucid living. See, lucid living is not the same as lucid dreaming. Life is not actually a dream in the same way that we dream at night. It's different. It's a collective experience for one thing. And when you dream lucidly, you kind of become aware of your waking self. When I dream lucidly, I become aware of Tim, and I'm able to start influencing my imagination from that place, and my dream can change. When I become lucid here, when I become aware of my deeper identity, which is witnessing all of this moment, I'm not Tim. It's not Tim dreaming the life dream. It's not Tim creating this moment. It's our shared deeper identity. It's the Atman, the Buddha nature, the spirit, the big self, the life dreamer. And that's what we really are. So it isn't the same in that way. You don't suddenly find yourself going, oh, right, well, I'll have, a new partner and a bigger car. But, and here's the thing, in my experience, you can effect life through the power of intention, through the power of your thoughts, through the power of changing your state of being will affect what happens to you. There's a relationship here. One of the most dramatic things that ever happened to me in this was a long time ago, or it feels that way, in my 30s, early 30s, way early 30s, late 20s, early 30s. I was a musician at the time, and my marriage ended, which in retrospect was a great thing because it opened me up to my new life and my new wife and my family, and it's all been fantastic. But at the time it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. And a friend of mine sent me away to kind of recover because I was in such a bad state, to his spiritual center where people went on holidays in Spain. And it just so happened that they were running a intensive on creating your own reality. And because I was in such a extreme state of distress and confusion and kind of very open too, vulnerable, I engaged with it utterly. And when asked what I wanted, I made it very clear I wanted a fully equipped 24-track recording studio in which I could record an album of dance music around the environmental issues, which were of great interest to me then, as they still are. And I wanted to put out a video and have it go out around the world, and it was a big dream. I had nothing at this time in my life. I'd lived near the edge the whole of my 20s. I had no money. I had nothing. And here I wanted a big 24-track recording studio in a manor house in the country, and I wanted it now. But it was a very powerful experience laying down that intention. And here's the thing, and this is why I have to be open to magic, is that within 2, maybe 3 weeks, I had that. We were carrying in, 8 of us, a massive, heavy recording console into this manor house, which I was renting. And within a few weeks, we were making an album. And within a few months, we'd finished it. And we had a video, and it went out around the world. Now, coincidence? If it happens enough times, and it's happened enough times for me, you just can't dismiss it. And when you know other people who've taken that approach, I have a very good friend who, set out to make a lot of money. That was his thing. And he did it within a very, very short period of time. And his whole thing was my intention. So, something's going on here. But it's also true that when I've intended to do a whole load of stuff, it hasn't happened. And I know a lot of people who've had that experience too. So here, it seems to me we're not dealing with an either or again. It's a both and. It works sometimes. So what interests me and what I'm going to be writing about in the new book is why it works and why it works sometimes, and how we can get away from what strikes me as a very superficial approach to it, which is very common at the moment, and actually integrate it as into a deeper philosophical understanding of the nature of reality, where we can find the place for this use of the magical mind alongside the use of the rational mind as part of our journey to waking up to this oneness and then entering into separateness with love and creativity. And this is one of the ways in which we can be really, really creative.